To start off the conversation, really quick clarification. I am speaking as CEO of Symatri. I am not speaking as the public company Applicate. I want that disclosure to be out there. When working and representing Applicate, it's extremely critical that everyone understands anything I say as a CEO of Applicate has to be approved by the board, has to be approved by legal. And so when Manny asked me this, I already went back and spoke with them in regards to speaking as the CEO of Symatri and not as Applicate. Applicate is a publicly traded company. As Manny said, SEC reporting, OTC reporting. That being said, the last couple of weeks have been extremely busy because we have quarterly filings. You file all the financials, you file everything with them, and that's a transparency that the SEC provides, the OTC provides to anyone involved in a public company. So my disclosure, before I say a single thing and read any of my notes that I have, I am speaking as CEO of Symatri. And
appreciate that, Darren. Thank you. And I apologize. I should have set that up even better for you. But yes, as the CEO of Symatri.
It's okay. I just my background. Remember, I went to law school and business school, and I'm working with all these different SECs through the challenges. You learn what you can say and can't say, and as a public company executive, it's way more limited. So that's why when I was talking to you yesterday or last week, it was about the approach that I'm going to talk about, because the questions you have are the questions that everyone's been wanting to hear directly from me and everything. So let me switch over to my notes real quick.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, not a problem. So I appreciate everyone being on here. This is what Manny has explained to me is this is the majority of the people that are mining Kala, been involved in the project for a while. And so I'm just, before I get into the exact questions, there were a bunch of questions and I have answers to a lot of things. The background of this company is what sets us apart from everyone else. While I was living in Puerto Montt, Chile, that's a small little town in South American country called Chile, in 1993, I had this crazy idea, and I didn't even know how to articulate it back then. It was just, I wanted to help a bunch of people. And I wanted to help a bunch of people change the world to be a better world. And it wasn't so specific until about 10 years ago when I realized, what I've been working my whole entire life doing was all summarized in one word in Hawaiian. It's called kakua. And kakua means to help, to serve, to give without any expectation of return. Now that's the best English translation I can give you. But it's a lot deeper than that. It means spiritual welfare, financial, physical welfare. It means all these things of becoming and serving and helping others. And the ancient Hawaiian ali'i, or ruling class, they had this hook, this fish hook. That's what you guys always see this when you're in Hawaii. But they have these hook fish hooks. And what it means is what you give away always comes back in some way or some form. The kakua is to serve and help others without expectation of anything in return. And the culture teaches that by giving, you'll always be taken care of. So now, the rest of the story is one of the greatest ways to affect and help a person is to give them time freedom. You'll see a lot of other companies that say, hey, we have a dream. The dream is to help you do this, or have this house, or have this vacation, or have all these different things. And that was never my intent. My intent is to help you be the best you, help you live your dream, help you live your passion. I have no clue what it is. None. But how can we as a company help you do that? And the answer is very, very simple. It's helping people, to be specific, 1 million people, make an extra $300 to $500 a month. Why $300 to $500 a month? The answer is simple. Again, it's because the majority of bankruptcies can be avoided with a few $100s. In other countries outside the US, you have complete society change of $300 to $500 a month. This morning I was on a call with some people from India, and you're talking $100 is above the average of what someone makes a month. It was down into like 20-25 bucks is what they were telling me. And when you talk about an extra $300 to $500, it gives you time freedom to be and do and serve however you so choose. So that's where the background, that's the history, that's the passion, that's the purpose of this whole entire project. Now, when we started this project a few years ago, I had no clue it would take us this long. I had no clue that it was going to be this difficult. The technology alone is difficult, but I had no idea the obstacles we were going to face, whether it be SECs or misunderstanding of what blockchain is. You start to mention blockchain and instantly, you got to understand, from 2015, 16, 17, 18, man, you just shared part of it. It was a bloodbath.
Oh, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was just like the internet back in 1998, 99, and 2000. Same thing. Internet 1.0, blockchain 1.0. All you had to do was throw the name blockchain, and people were throwing billions of dollars at it without any substance, without any technology or code. It was all an idea called a white paper or an ICO saying, our token's going to be the next token to replace the dollar, right? We lived through it.
Yep.
And I had, and if I had known the obstacles that I was going to face, I'm not sure we would have gone down this road.
Well, I'm glad you did.
Can you imagine? Oh yeah, you're going to get nailed by, a bunch of SECs that say you're committing fraud. Well, 95, 98% of all the other tokens out there were. They absolutely were. If you had asked me 5 years ago, I would have said, maybe a third of them are bad. Now, having been in it for 4 or 5 years deep, man, it's ridiculous. I mean,
yeah.
It's ridiculous. I can't even tell you how many war stories there are. Nonetheless, we had real functioning technology, and that is what saved our butts every single time. We have a real utility blockchain that works. And that is like one of the first questions that was asked is, what makes Kali unique to other blockchain projects? And I'm telling you, the fact that our blockchain works, it does what we said it does, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. So the purpose of blockchain, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in specifics. Kali blockchain was created as a notary service or proof of ownership. Really simple purpose. The applications are endless. So let me give you an example. Let's go over some specifics now. So if I have a blockchain that gives me ownership, that means if I post a picture on Instagram, all right, and I want to prove that it's mine, Manny, what do we have to do right now? Like, what's the process to go and get proof of ownership of a picture you take and post on Instagram? Do you know what that process is?
I don't know the complete process. I just know it's a headache because IP in general is a headache. Right? How do you prove that it's yours?
Exactly. You got to go copyright or trademark it. You got to pay fees. Attorneys got to go register it, and you have to register it in your state. Then you have to register it in your country. And if you want international protection, you have to go register it in all the different countries or their association of countries. It's extensive. And that's just to post and claim that picture is yours. Literally, that's it. You can spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing that. Well, one of the very simplest applications of the Kali blockchain is, hey, I posted this picture. I'm going to go store a hash on the blockchain saying that this is my picture. Now I have an immutable record showing proof that I was the author of it. Now, let's think like a hacker, Manny. Let's think about criminals and the exact opposite. Well, What if they stole your picture? I go to Manny's Facebook page, I grab that, I go to your family stuff, and I start posting it on there, and then I go hash it on Call a Blockchain as mine. Well, guess what? I just permanently proved, once we go through the, if it became a legal battle, we go to legal. I just proved to the world that I'm a criminal and I steal people's photos. And it doesn't go away. It's immutable record, meaning it's permanent.
That's right.
So I know we'll spend some time educating people on being very careful what they claim as theirs and not, because if it does get to legal, we have the proof that they stole it right there. So that's one of the applications. That works for music. It works for certificates. It works for degrees. It works for any single thing. I got people trying to do it for real estate. I got people doing it for ownership of animals. We got anything that you want to show as yours, you can use the Kala blockchain. How would you do it? You would use Kala, the Kala coin. That right there is a massive demand of potential people that would want Kala. And that is, let's see, that's one of the very first things that sets the Kala blockchain project and Kala as different from the rest. You mentioned something I said. Let me finish off this. So it's proof of authenticity and ownership. And you literally can use it for whatever. Let's talk about working with MLMs. If you have an MLM and a team and you want to record your team as proof that that's your team, you could use Kala blockchain. That's another one. The biggest one, though, and this is the most exciting one, and this took us it took us a number of months to refine the messaging, and we still don't have the finalized messaging, but basically the Kala blockchain will probably become one of the top, if not the top, blockchain loyalty rewards program on the planet. And let me explain that in a little bit more detail. If you had access to hundreds of thousands of businesses and they had a rewards program, by the way, 92% of all businesses in the world have some type of rewards program. So that's not fictitious. That's just a fact. So if I'm a business and I have a rewards program and I say, let's just say I'm a hotel, I'm Marriott. So I go to Marriott. Manny, you go to the Marriott, you get your points. Great. You take those points and what can you do with them? You can get more stays at Marriott. Sometimes you can upgrade into other things, upgrade in a room. Sometimes you can do all kinds of things. But can you go and buy groceries with those points? Can you go and rent, pay rent? And the answer is no. And that is the number one problem with loyalty reward programs is you usually can only use it at certain spots. Well, what if I have, I stay at Marriott, I fly on JetBlue, and I like to buy Nike? If those are my 3 places I spend a lot of money, why shouldn't I be able to use the points intermingling with those 3? And that's where Kala blockchain steps in. If I had access to hundreds of thousands of businesses that had a rewards program, and I gave them the opportunity to be able to exchange their points via Kala, then a company could provide services, products, whatever they're selling, accept the loyalty rewards or the Kala, and use it at any other participating business in the network. If I had access to hundreds of thousands of businesses, I could do that. If I had a Kala blockchain that we could play with the user interface and program it in for every business, I could do that. If I had a cryptocurrency that acted as the loyalty rewards program, then I can do that. And that's what makes the story so funny, is all 3 things I said, if I had, I could then, well, the answer is we've already created all 3. It's taken us 4 years. It's taken us 4 years to get to this point. But we have a cryptocurrency. We have our own Kala blockchain that we can customize to the business, and we have access to hundreds of thousands of businesses already, not including the businesses that will be coming in. Manny, you mentioned earlier GPS cache, and I'll just be very candid. That is one of our major technologies that we have access to. we can use GPS Cash why does GPS Cash want to work with Kala and Kala blockchain? Because we've already built the parts they need. We've already built it all. And so that's how the whole deal came together. It was over 2 years ago this deal came together. 2 years ago. And I think we made a press release about a year ago. And now finally I'm publicly being able to speak about it because the technology's built. The last few pieces are integration for the businesses. So, Manny, if we had hundreds of thousands of affiliates that could then sign up a business for free and hand them a Kala wallet. Why would they want the Kala wallet? Because they need the the loyalty rewards program, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, if they're all part of the same network and can interchange their points, their loyalty reward points, then you just created the largest loyalty reward point program on the planet. And that is why it's taken us so long to do.
That's
Questions?
awesome.
Do you have any questions about that specifically?
No, I think that's phenomenal. I think that we're finally starting to see what 2 years or 4 years really looks like. So will that be available for any business that wants to come on and participate in Kala?
Yes, that will be available to any business. There's a lot, like I told you, there's hundreds of thousands of businesses already associated with GPS Cash, but that's not my goal. My goal is to help millions of people make a few extra $100 a month. So I had to change GPS Cash to allow an affiliate to bring them in for free. Now, what happens every single time they use the Kala wallet or the Kala rewards program? We get a small commission that we pay out to the affiliates. It's a really simple model. It's just taken a long time to build the technology. In fact, there isn't a technology that exists on the planet that does exactly what I just told you. There is not one anywhere that I know of. Manny, do you?
Wow, no. So just to reiterate, Kala would essentially be the lead runner for the rewards program that can be integrated with hundreds of thousands of different businesses. I mean, like you mentioned, every business has some type of loyalty or rewards program for their customer, which is, I think that's
correct.
Huge. That's a huge use case. I think once we start seeing rubber hitting road on that, it allows you to see the utility aspect of Kala and why. I've had some questions on why the float's so big and all that stuff. This is why you would need that many to help transact with all these different businesses that are around there. So that's awesome.
Exactly. And that, you know what? You're bringing up something, the float being so big. The reason why Bitcoin's done a lot of great things, they've also messed up on a lot of things. Now, I don't think it was their intent to use it as a currency. I think it was more of an asset. But nonetheless, the used a lot of the good things from Bitcoin. For example, 21 million is what they had. We did 21 billion, and we did it specifically because we only wanted Kala to go 2 digits. That's really what the intent was. And the reason being is because every business in any part of the world, whether you use pesos, whether you use Japanese yen, whether you use, whatever currency you have, everyone always understands 1.50. Everyone always understands 1.10. When you start to go 0.00325, it just gets extremely confusing. Yeah. Even though it's not hard, it's just a conversion, right? But it's not normal. So that's why we did it as the float way we did, and we also knew we'd be working with millions of businesses. Of course, I want to do it way faster. We just haven't been able to get to that point yet. So that is, and by the way, I have public company applicates. I also have, I don't know if I can even mention. I just have a number of different entities lining up interviews for me to speak on the Kala and Kala blockchain, explaining the loyalty rewards program in a public platform. So that is down the road. I know it's coming. I know they're finishing up all the marketing on it, and making it very easy and simple for businesses. Now, one of the questions you asked are, what's happening in Q3, Q4, 2021? I can't give you dates on any of this. It has to come from the company. So back to some of these other questions here. Which targeted use cases will Kala be going after? If you can please be specific. So we just talked about the loyalty rewards system. And that, by the way, is the biggest one. Because I said that, and I already said this, but Kala is a notary blockchain or an ownership blockchain, then obviously if you're trading securities, let's say a security is a stock. So Applicate, the company, the public company, has a stock. Their ticker is APQT. The float's very little because none of the sellers are selling. That's why. They're just holding on to it. And so that is a security. Now, one of the very first applications that I've been thrown into is trying to figure out how you can buy stock with Kala. And that'll probably be it's so easy to do. It'll probably be one of the first things, everyone on this call sees as an example of how to do a security, how to do cryptocurrency purchases of stock. And so that'll probably pop up soon. Soon is all I can say on that. Another major project. Any questions on that, Manny?
No, other than, the soons, I think is what I crack up about. Not because it's a bad thing, but because you guys have been working on this for so long, and we have, the public market has one expectation, and of course any successful company has to do it in their own timeline. So I'm excited for it. So I chuckle about it. Yeah. But no, that's the use case of node, and that's huge, guys. Just, every project kind of has their coined phrase, whether it be Ethereum and smart contracts or XRP and payment remittance. Kala is known as the notary blockchain. And so that we want that to sink in with the Kala owners, Kala holders, Kala miners, that it's a notary blockchain.
Yeah. And when you talk about use cases, I'm not even going to pretend to know all the use cases. I only know of a few that we've already been working on. But the same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum's a smart contract type of blockchain. How many different applications have been applied to that?
Right, exactly. And so just to, right, so this is kind of, notary blockchain is a very broad net, but inside of that, you could do so much. You could do, as you mentioned, the point reward system. You could do logistics. A transaction on the blockchain doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be monetary. It doesn't have to be money based. It could just be writing of different items. So you're absolutely right. Use cases there can be a plethora of use cases for one blockchain itself. So so that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Here's another example. Here's another really big example. They're not even aware of. What happens if Gmail goes down? What happens to your contacts, Annie?
My assumption is if the platform goes down, everything goes down with
it. Yeah, but if they shut your account off, just say Google's still going, but they're like,
Oh, they suspend your account or close your account. All your stuff goes with it. Yeah, it's gone.
It's done. Yeah, you don't own it. It's gone.
Yep.
And so I'm working with a couple of companies right now that want to use, because Kala blockchain stores your contacts. It'll be the first time you actually own your contacts.
Wow.
So even if you use Outlook, it's stored there. You get it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's awesome. Being able to write your contacts on a blockchain. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how nice would it be that you have it in one spot and everything is pulled from there? So now I just API into this database and it's pulled from there and it's accurate and I'm the only one that can control it. It'd be beautiful.
As it should be, right?
As it should be.
Yeah.
Another use case, and this is a very real one. I've been on this projects for over 2 years, but it's tracking logistics. So you already mentioned it, but let's just talk about animals. Whether it be tuna in Japan or cows in Brazil. What they want to do is, so let me just give you a real case scenario. In Brazil, they pay. What was it? They have to pay $2 to register their animal, and anytime they send their animal out. So if I'm selling beef to China, I have to pay $100 if it goes international fees to prove that this cow was born at this place and raised by these owners. It's really interesting. Well, once again, Kala blockchain is built for notarization, and for us to do it is minuscule in price. It would save these guys hundreds of millions a year, if not billions. Just makes it really simple. Now, I keep talking about use cases and reasons and demands of why people would want to use Kala blockchain. I say Kala blockchain because the only way anyone will be able to ever use Kala blockchain is with Kala. We're not going to ever make it to, oh yeah, with Bitcoin you can go do this, or with dollars. No, the only way you can use Kala blockchain is with Kala. And that's the beauty of the whole entire system, is because not only do we have our own blockchain, but we have our cryptocurrency, and it's all in one ecosystem. Very important to understand. If you tie up GPS Cash with all the hundreds of thousands of businesses, they're all on the same ecosystem. Different reasons to use Kala blockchain. Now, this is a lot different. Manny, you've been in this space for years. You've heard everyone pitch you a coin. You've heard everyone pitch you, okay, you got to buy this coin because it's going to go to the moon, blah, blah, blah.
All day long,
yeah. That's not, I've never, in my entire career, I've never said that. What I've said over and over and over is people will want Kala blockchain because of this or that. And that is why they're going to want to use our technology. The more people that want to use the technology, the higher the demand. And that goes into what, I've watched a few of your videos and I've watched what you've been doing. And, almost everything you say makes a lot of sense. You definitely know what you're talking about. And so when you have a high demand, who's in control of the value? Who's in control?
Us, the miners, man. It's the miners.
You.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's absolutely you. And what if the majority of the holders of the coin are like, we're going to hold forever, because we don't think it's even close to the value? Then what? That means the float is smaller, and that means you literally control the price.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's the really purpose of these calls, is that we wanted to get together and make everybody on the same page. We understand that, if times are getting tough and you need to sell, then sell. But for the most part, we've been in this for 2 years. We've been at it for 2 years, holding on a little bit longer. Now, that kind of is a great transition to my next question. And I know I can't hold you to dates and times, but if you were to looking at this roadmap or this new milestone marker, are we looking at the rest of 2020? Are we looking at 2021, 2022 for this? Because if this is true technology, and I don't care if this is for this project or any project that you see out there, it's always the first folks that really take off. I mean, if you look at the Bitcoin millionaires that happened overnight, and I'm doing these air quotes, they were mining and holding and for years and years and years, sub $1, sub pennies. Bitcoin was just like Kala was, right? And then fast forward 10 years later, we're at we're sideways trading now at almost 10,000, but it took 10 years to get that. So if we're only at year 2 and we're positioning ourselves with this Kala blockchain to be in front of that many businesses, I promise you guys, it doesn't matter the project. If you have people using it, that's what increases the value of the coin, both in the marketplace and just in usability. It's just, that's the way it is. That's every successful project I've seen. That's exactly how they went about it, is providing true value and actually solving a problem. And that's where this term use case comes from. Well, what's your use case? What problem are you solving? That's just another way of putting it. What problem is it solving? And so clearly the Kala blockchain has multiple use cases for it. And knowing Darren, he's going to go out after the biggest ones first and kind of chisel his way down. So that's exciting for us, because we're really at the beginning of this thing.
Yeah, and that's why, everyone always tries to bait me and say, hey, what do you think the value is going to be? First off, I can't talk about that. It's illegal.
I wouldn't even dare.
I know. But second off, I actually really don't care, to be honest. All I care about as my job as CEO of Symatri, my job is to get use case from theory to live. That's my whole job. And right now, because you've been really good at connecting the dots. You saw GPS Cash is owned by Applicate. I've already heard you on your webinars. You've already connected those dots. I mean, I'm on this call right now telling you that is the connection of the dots. Is we already have hundreds of thousands of businesses. They want to use it. Now we've got to figure out the marketing and get that out and share it. So when you're talking about timelines, I'm talking pretty much everything I've mentioned is 2020. It has to be. because, you know, we've gone so far down the road and we haven't, you know, and if I will say this though, if someone on this call is sitting here saying, hey, I'm going to become a millionaire right away because they've been promised that, it didn't come from us. Because all I've ever talked about is the use cases, and that's really important to understand is you got to understand what the project is and what the purpose. If you are going to be a trader, go ahead, be a trader. By the way, I have professional traders that have jumped into Kala and have killed it. One of my buddies showed me proof that he made over $50,000 net profit buying and selling Kala. And that's what he does for a living. That's not what I do. I'm not a trader. I'm just building the blockchain, the technology, and the use case for everyone wanting to use Kala blockchain. That's what I'm building. So if you want to be a trader, man, you can be a trader and crush it. You listen to Manny, because Manny keeps telling you guys all the secrets. You know, the supply, the order books, they're really, really small. So I will, you know what, I'm gonna drop this little bit of news, and I know I've been confronted by a couple of real investors, big, huge ones. And when we talk about the Kala blockchain and the purposes, they get very excited. Because if you guys educate yourself on blockchain, no one has built what we have. There's a lot of people that talk about it, but no one has built what we have. And so the fact that we actually have a functioning blockchain, that's been battle tested by SECs. Yeah, don't forget that part. It's been battle tested by SECs, and we've won because the blockchain works. So I do know of major investors that have asked me, and I don't know anything. I don't know the process. So if anyone asks me, I'm not going to even tell you because I don't know it yet. But I have a number of very serious investors that would like to make major purchases. And so that's what they're going to do. And how do they get Kala? There's only one place they can get it right now, and that's from Probit. We have two other exchanges, much bigger than Probit, that are also in the process of uplisting Kala, because we've broken every single record on Probit. It's amazing. I can talk about that another time, but
and there's no way these other investors would get Kala other than the public exchange. Nui or Symatri isn't selling them directly or OTC style. They would have to. Oh,
these guys are trying to buy it. They're trying to rip it off, bro. They're trying to buy it at, you know, whatever everyone wants to unload it at. They love the price low. And to be honest, I don't even care. if people want to sell it for that low, that they can sell it. That's the beauty of an open market. You sell it for whatever you want, or you buy it for whatever you want. So I do know that they've been buying, and they're going to buy more. I know that for a fact. In fact, they've actually shown me verification of funds of what they want to do. So I suspect people will be buying. If you're an investor, you want it as low as possible. So if you know of people that want to sell it, just go unload it all. It'll all be bought up pretty soon. You know, so it'll be whatever it is. But once again, it's supply and demand. And if there's a lot of demand and little supply, the price goes up.
That's right.
If there's more supply and less demand, it goes down. So just basics economics.
No, absolutely. And I think, you know, that's, again, the purpose of this call is to kind of rally everybody. And you know, if you've gone this far as a miner or a holder, you know, what's the rest of the year, really, when you look at projects that are involved in? I mean, it's just, we're more in it than we are. We're more closer to that starting point. Really, it's a starting point, right? We've been, all the projects are coming to fruition, essentially. And this is the starting point. And so, this call is just to let everybody know that hold strong. We can, if we work together, we can try to raise this price point up the flagpole a little bit. And then when the major guys come in, as Darren's mentioned, and you know, we lock arms and we don't sell for anything less because we are the miners. There's no other way for them to get it other than the people that sell it. And if we're the only people that had Kala before it going public, then there's no other people to get them from. They have to come from us.
Yeah. And I as CEO of the company can't force anyone to sell anything. It's up to whatever individual has it. They do whatever they want. So It's already 5 here, man. It's getting late. So let me hammer through these.
Yeah.
Wallet enhancements. What's coming? What does it mean for the Kala holder? I can tell you this because it's already done. It's just not public yet. And I'm not sure. I'll have to check in with Curtis, but he knows the schedule. But we will have Bitcoin soon in our wallets. That's a major, major thing. Not just Bitcoin, but we can carry other coins too. But let me tell you why it's major. It's because of the second announcement. And I'm not sure we've ever announced this publicly. We will have insurance on the Kala hot wallet. I'll repeat that. We are going to have insurance on the Kala hot wallets. I don't know if anyone caught the significance of that, but there isn't a hot wallet with insurance. And we will have insurance on our hot wallets. Hence the reason why we got to hold other coins too. Because if we're the only game in town with insurance on our hot wallet, what's the likelihood of people wanting their coins, whether it be Bitcoin or Kala, to be protected? And that is earth shattering. That is blockchain shattering. That's cryptocurrency shattering.
Right.
And
that's space shattering. That's like, yeah, that's big.
Yeah, so it's huge. And once again, demand. How are they going to get this? The only way they're going to get it is by using Kala. I'm just telling you. So if they want insurance, they're going to have to pay for it with Kala. Once again, another use case, but a very real one and exciting. I have another note here. 22 different unique things about our Kala wallets. 17 of them are completely unique. 5 of them we've found parts of it in other wallets. So 22 different things, and I've only told you 2. BTC is soon, and that's actually not one of the 22. But the insurance coming is a major one. We have about 5 earth-shattering technologies that we've been building for the Kala wallets. And that's pretty exciting. So once again, going to the consumer, if I'm just using wallets, I would use one that's a hot wallet that's insured. If I'm a business, by all means, I'm going to make sure my revenues are protected. So that's the beauty of both sides of this. Upcoming updates that I can make privy to. I've already said all that I pretty much can. On the Q3, Q4 2021, I think I've hit that. What tools will become available for Kala blockchain? And my notes here are really simple. 2020 and 2021 are going to be very, very exciting years. It's basically going to be proof of our 4, 5, 6 years of work, right? And we'll start to share use case, because building the blockchain alone is the difficult part. Now you got to have user interfaces on how you use the blockchain. It's kind of like the operating system, to make this really, Manny, you're always explaining this better and better to people, but it's like the operating system of your computer. You can't really see it, but it runs your computer, and then it's the, Microsoft Word that you go on there and type out documents using the operating system.
Yep.
So blockchain's the same thing. It's an operating system, and so how people use the Kala blockchain is endless. And some of the things we've identified 100% are logistics, GPS cash, cashback, loyalty rewards, and discounts. Don't forget the discounts part. I totally forgot about it. Why in the world would I go to a certain place? Because number one, I'm getting a discount. But then the cash back I get in my wallet via Kala. And then, oh man. And then
it gets exciting, man. It gets exciting.
Yeah. Then we pay through the network. So, whatever story you've heard from anyone on this planet, I wish I could get paid every time someone shops on Amazon. We have the technology that works and is proven. And so now it's just connecting the dots, and it's taken us a long time. That's why I said, and when I started off this conversation, I was like, man, if I knew the amount of work, I don't know if I would have done it. If I'd known the challenges, I'm not sure I would have done it, but it's the purpose and the vision that's driven us through every single problem we've had. And that's the exciting thing is, Manny, I met you once, like 2 years ago, right? Once?
2 years ago, January 2018, yeah.
Yeah, you're not even associated in any of the companies I'm running except for you're a Kala miner. And so, I started paying attention to a lot of the videos, and I was like, holy cow, there's someone out here that really, really understands the technology and the big play. So first off, I thank you for taking time and helping people understand blockchain. just so you know, I once went to Silicon Valley, spoke to 17 attorney generals, probably 80 to 120 different owners of companies, or the Department of Justice had 2 people there. There was all kinds of people. No media, closed doors, not allowed to take a picture or anything. My whole purpose was sitting there teaching people about blockchain, just the very basics. I mean, it's surprising how no one actually understands anything about it. So, Manny, back to you. My hat's off to you. I appreciate you taking time to put these videos together to explain how blockchain works, how Bitcoin works, how mining works. Because I really don't think people understand, but the miners are the ones that are controlling all the pricing right now. You know, now when you have millions and millions of people, it takes on a different aspect, and then it's about what the supply. The supply will control the price, right? And the demand, of course.
Yep.
But right now, there's only one person to point at, and it's the miners, because there's no one else selling.
Nobody else selling.
So,
that's it.
It's really simple.
Yeah. And so,
anyways, the last question you said is, what do you predict will have the most impact on price of value of Kala? And the answer is simple. It's demand, demand, demand. It's why would people want to use Kala blockchain? Okay, I want to use it. Now, how do I use it? I have to have Kala. That's it. I have to have Kala to use the Kala blockchain. We're not going to accept anything else but Kala to run Kala blockchain. That's how we built it. It's beautiful.
I love it.
All right, my brother. So
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time out and shedding some light. And we do have this recorded. I'll send you a copy of it. But Darren, I greatly appreciate your brother to sticking to the gun, sticking to the vision, and going through it. Because like I said, the last 2 years for any company, blockchain specifically, was tough. And so I applaud you, and hats off to you and the rest of the team for continuing on trucking, because what you guys have done, and anybody that's participating in it, will certainly change lives in the future for sure, based on what I'm seeing and what you've told me. So thank you.
Yep. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, brother. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will have this posted at some point tomorrow. Thanks again for stopping by, guys, and we'll talk soon. Later, guys.